Bringing it back to America, we have the Great Vampire Scare of the 1800s in the New England region. So this leads into another story. So it's a little long, so bear with me. So in Griswold, Connecticut in 1990, children playing near a hillside gravel mine found the first graves. One ran home to tell his mother, who was skeptical at first until the boy produced a skull.
Mom was skeptical, but then he produced a skull, and she's like, all right, I believe you.
Yeah.
Not, hey, where'd you get that head?
Right? Because this was Griswold, Connecticut in 1990, police initially thought the burials might be the work of the local serial killer named Michael Ross, and they taped off the area as a crime scene. But the brown decaying bones turned out to be more than a century old. The Connecticut state archaeologist Nick Bellantoni soon determined that the hillside contained a colonial area farm cemetery. New England is full of such unmarked family plots, and the 29 burials were typical of the 1700s and early 1800s. The dead, many of them children, were laid to rest in thrifty Yankee-style simple wood coffins without jewelry or even much clothing, their arms resting by their sides or crossed over their chests. That is except for what they called burial number 4. Bellantoni was interested in the grave even before the excavation began. It was one of only 2 stone crypts in the cemetery, and it was partially visible from the mine face. When Bellantoni lifted the first of the large flat rocks that formed the roof, he uncovered the remains of a red-painted coffin and a pair of skeletal feet. They lay, he remembers, in perfect anatomical position. But when he raised the next stone, Bellantoni saw that the rest of the individual had been completely rearranged. The skeleton had been beheaded. Skull and thigh bones rested atop the ribs and vertebrae. It looked like a skull and crossbones motif, a Jolly Roger. I'd never seen anything like it, he said. Subsequent analysis showed that the beheading, along with the other injuries, including rib fractures, occurred roughly 5 years after death. Somebody had also smashed the coffin. The other skeletons in the gravel hillside were packaged for reburial, but not JB, as the 50-ish male skeleton from the early 1830s came to be called because of his initials spelled out on brass tacks on his coffin. He was shipped to the National Museum of Health and Medicine in Washington, D.C. for further study. Finally, one colleague asked, ever heard of the Jewett City vampires? In 1854, in neighboring Jewett City, Connecticut, I can't talk tonight, townspeople had exhumed several corpses suspected to be vampires that were rising from their graves to kill the living. Many of the other vampires, like JB, had been disinterred, grotesquely tampered with, and reburied.